Okay, we've got to talk about those Pokemon remakes. So, I know I'm late to the party on discussing these new games, but I wanted to make sure that my thoughts came across properly and were clear. Because I love the franchise, don't get me wrong, and I've been playing Pokemon for most of my life. And I didn't want this video to become a rant, although it kind of has. But I genuinely want to bring up some real concerns for these games and Pokemon as a whole. Now, my first ever Pokemon game was Pokemon Pearl. Okay, that's a lie. It was Mystery Dungeon. But it was my first mainline game, and Sinnoh is my favourite region. And when I first saw the trailer to Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, I thought it was fake. The graphics looked like someone in their mother's basement had been working on these games, not a team of people. And I thought there is no way that the people who made Pokemon Home are working on these, because that would just be outrageous, to say the least. But it's true. And while I'm not a big graphics guy, and I'm fine with the most part with how the graphics look, but I really dislike the visuals of the characters. I mean, the characters being in this chibi style takes me out of the immersion. And I expected to have visuals similar to at least Generation 6 or 7. I mean, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire look better than these games. And they were released over 6 years ago, and were made on the 3DS. I mean, seriously? Anyway, Takuto Utsunomiya. This guy, that, may I add, I've never seen before, explained that this was done so that they would be
faithful remakes.
And I appreciate that, but faithful remakes is not what I personally wanted. I mean, maybe other people did, just not me. The reason I'm disappointed with these games is that my expectations going into the trailer was that we were going to get graphics similar to at least Sun and Moon. Anyway, like I said, I don't care about graphics that much. But if these games turn out to be Pokemon Diamond and Pearl in HD chibi style, then these games will be disappointing. It just sounds like an excuse to me, like how they made excuses for Pokemon Sword and Shield. I've heard people say the graphics aren't final, but that is a terrible defense. People said the exact same thing about Sword and Shield, and the graphics were exactly the same as the trailer. I can't see a difference in the graphics from the trailer to the actual game. I mean, I love the remakes for Ruby and Sapphire. I mean, for the time, up-to-date graphics, nice mechanics, and all the Pokemon featured at the time. They weren't faithful, and yet they were great games. This is the longest we've waited for a remake yet, and this is what we get? All I ask for is to have graphics that remain faithful, not to Diamond and Pearl, but to the Pokemon franchise as a whole. Because having a transaction such as this with the graphics is jarring. These games are the mainline series games, for goodness sake. Now, I must say, the visuals of the battles look great, but don't you just port them over from the newest games, aka Sword and Shield? So why are the visuals of the overworld so lackluster? It looks like they've taken a page out of the book of the Link's Awakening remaster, and I think that game looks amazing, but that game was bright and vibrant, and that is what these Pokemon remakes are missing. They just look and feel dull. The way this woman says this line,
"In these games, you can enjoy a grand adventure together with all the Pokemon from Pokemon Diamond version and Pokemon Pearl version,"
makes me wonder if we're going to lose out on half the Pokemon. If that is true, I would be upset. They've got all the assets from Sword and Shield, so if they decide to cut out Pokemon just to stay faithful to the originals, then I would be furious. because there is simply no need for it. And if that's the case, why are the visuals the way they are? But I guess we'll just have to find that out later, when we see more from these games. I would also like to see an added post-game story, like what they did in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire with the Delta episode. But we might not even get that. I mean, what it sounds like is that Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl will not include all the Pokemon, the Battle Frontier, Megazord Dynamax, an added post-game story, and other things. So it's just the graphics that will be different? If that's the case, then I simply won't be buying these games. Now, I've heard a lot of people argue that as fans, we shouldn't complain because we have 2 Sinnoh games coming out. But although they are making 2 games in Sinnoh, it's a Sinnoh we have never seen before. A Sinnoh I could barely recognise. I would say that Legends Arceus is hardly a Sinnoh game. Both of these games should be judged on their own merits. One game shouldn't be given an excuse for the other, and they should be judged independently of one another. The reason why people are upset about the remakes is that they wanted a fresh new take on Sinnoh. They wanted new graphics, new mechanics, more story added. I would have loved to see Megas make a return, or Dynamax in these games, but all we get is a slight revamp of the old game. It feels like a huge cash grab, if that is what it turns out to be. And it's not bad to expect more from a multi-billion-dollar franchise. Look at how much Pokemon games make compared to Zelda games. It's a huge difference. Over their lifetime, Pokemon games have made 5.5 times more than what Zelda games have made. Zelda has $18 billion less than Pokemon does for their games. But they go and make games like these. But Pokemon makes games like these. What the hell? We're still waiting for Pokemon to catch up. But will they? Probably not, because Pokemon merchandise makes 3/4 of the Pokemon revenue, approximately $76 billion. Yeah, with a B. So they don't care too much about what games they make, because people will buy their games and plushies. The Pokemon games account for almost 1/4 of the revenue, about $22 billion. Roughly, their estimated total revenue from all parts of the franchise is $100 billion. But as we all know too well, is that price and money doesn't exactly equal quality. For goodness sake, Game Freak, you could hire 3 or 4 times more employees than the people who worked on Breath of the Wild. So why don't you? I mean, Sword and Shield had 50% more people working on it than previous titles, which is commendable. But why not hire 100 or 200% more people? So it's not that they can't make good games, because they have the money to do exactly that, but it's that they don't have to. They refuse to. I feel that they can't innovate anymore, so they decide to steal from the Zelda games. But to be completely honest, I don't know enough to give my verdict on these games yet. But ultimately, from what I've seen, I'm disappointed in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. I will probably be getting these games. I'm happy that we're getting remakes. I just thought that these games would be given the same love as the previous remakes, and we'd get modern day Diamond and Pearl. The problem is that the Pokemon Company make terrible decisions way too often. Although I have enjoyed the new games in Generation 6, 7 and 8, they have been lacking in different areas. Another decision that I don't understand is that Ilka, the people who made Pokemon Home, are remaking these games that are so dear to our hearts. I mean, why would you even think that that was a good idea? Nintendo and Game Freak have become complacent with rolling out mediocre games with minimal effort because ultimately they know they will sell. I'm sick of supporting something that refuses to evolve. No pun intended. Although I'm writing the script, so okay, pun intended. Pokemon should learn a thing or two from the Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed games. They went from being yearly games to bi-yearly games, and those games turned out great, and I think that is something Pokemon should do. That will give them enough time to add loads of features, all the Pokemon, improve the graphics, and ultimately make something that they should be proud of. So, in conclusion, I'm disappointed in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. They look lazily put together, and I would be willing for these games to be delayed and fixed, but I don't see that happening. Stop making excuses for these games, because those excuses are baseless. Anyway, this is just my initial thoughts on the games, and my opinion might change as we see more footage for these games. The thing is, you get one chance to remake these games. We're not getting remakes again. So, that is good, I think.